And welcome to the Voice of San Joaquin, right here off the Miracle Mile in Stockton, California. And now it is time for St. Mary's Sports.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to St. Mary's Hockey. Today is 10/10/2019. We're almost halfway through October. We've got some special guests in here tonight. We have a special guest tonight. So from my right around the corner, we got Anthony Alvarado, number 17. We got I almost called you Kobe. Kobe Bryant? No. Toby Bell. He's a center. Were you 31? One. Okay.
Yeah, just one.
And we got the captain of the team, Mr. Number 5, Mr. Luca Petroni, and his mother is here to make sure he behaves himself. She's also our team tutor. She's been part of our hockey organization, St. Mary's, since the beginning. It's a pleasure having you here, Wendy, and we'll get you involved with the conversation. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody, obviously. We're heading into our first regular season weekend. We leave tomorrow from the school at 6:40 or thereabouts in the morning, headed down to L.A., Irvine to be exact. And we play our first game at 7-something tomorrow night against Santa Margarita. And then what's our games on Saturday?
I just know we have two.
You guys have two, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Jay Sarah and
Jay Sarah, who finished first in the Duck League last year, and then
I think it's Pacific Ridge.
and Pacific Ridge. So they're going to be up against some stiff competition right out of the gate. So it's going to be a fun weekend. We'll find out where the team is after this weekend. I think they're in good shape myself. I go to most of the practices, and the kids look faster. Coach Eisler's got them hustling, figuring out different formations for them and what to do on the ice. So without any further ado, I'd like to go to Miss Wendy Petroni, who's she was a team manager for years for us with the Colts. She's been around hockey. Luca and Anthony have been together, I don't know how many years, too many. They're almost like brothers together. But tell us a little bit about your background, Wendy, and where you fit in and what you think of your young man. And you can be honest on this show.
I have been, Luca's been involved in hockey since he was 4, almost turning 5.
So about a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just a little bit. So we've been involved in hockey for a long time. And I am the team tutor when they're on the road. I've been in education for over 25 years. I actually teach kindergarten, so it's going to work well.
It's almost the
same thing with high school kids. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I also mentor new teachers, so I'll be with them on the road. And I have an older son that played hockey, so that got Luca into hockey. My grandsons play hockey. I have a 5-year-old and 3-year-old grandson, and they're both in the hockey sport with Coach Derek. And the other thing that I do is I coach CrossFit. So that's we work out at CrossFit Oakdale, and Luke is very active there, especially on the off season, trying to build some weight and some muscle, and helping his muscles to get a little bit faster on the ice, a little bit stronger on the ice. So we have a kind of a hockey program that we're doing with him during the summertime.
And I got to admit, you've gotten better, Mr. Petroni.
Yeah, he's gained about 10 pounds or so over the summer.
Yeah.
And about 3, I don't know, maybe 3 inches from last year.
2, I think.
2 inches. So
Good.
we're getting there.
All right, Mr. Petroni, you're up. Talk to us a little about last year's team versus this year's team. Just overall, where you think you are from that team at this point of the season, and kind of compare a little bit without going into players and all that type of thing.
I think this year it's definitely been an improvement, especially with the bench size and everything. I think that with our new players coming in, it's going to take a little bit of time just to get them settled in with the league and everything and the competition we play against versus what they played against last year.
But I think they have an advantage over what you guys did last year because they have how many returning players do we have? Approximately 5, 6, 8. I think it's
maybe 7,
Maybe
maybe 7.
or
So it's up to that group of kids to help these kids see it. I mean, you guys went through it blind pretty much last year. You figured it out probably on your second or third trip back east. But you can help them along in what's expected. And before we went on the air, we were talking about being on time. That's one thing Coach Eiser's a stickler about. So you got to get there, get to the vans or your transportation to get to the venues. Otherwise, you get left behind. So that's something that you guys need to indoctrinate with the new people. Now, Toby, move it over. There you go. You've come all the way from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about yourself, what your background is, and then bring us up forward to when you came here and then you left for home for a while. I want people to understand that this is a big commitment for you, for anybody. I'm talking to you because you're here, but we have 2 kids that are from another country on our team.
Yeah.
And, that the whole experience. But start with your hockey background.
Well, I've been playing hockey since I've been skating since I was 4. I became a goalie when I was about 6. And then I've kind of played ever since then, and I've always just tried to get to the higher level until eventually I kind of realized there was no higher level in Buffalo, and then I just tried to get out. And then I was doing some camps, like the Null camps and stuff like that, and I got lucky enough that I was doing one in Philadelphia. And I don't know if Coach was there or he had someone there, but someone spotted me, and I got an email a few weeks later that St. Mary's in Stockton, California wanted me to come over, and then I knew that was the right move for me to further myself in the game.
That was interesting. From somebody from the United States that came here from the distance you did. Now, that being said, you came here. I don't know the whole story. I've got bits and pieces of it because you live with Anthony and so forth. But something triggered you. Something wasn't settled for whatever reasons. You don't have to go into detail about that, but it's got to be something. This is the first time that you've been away from home for this type of period of time.
Yeah.
And it's not like you get on the weekends when we're not playing, you go home. So talk to me a little bit about that, because there's other kids on this team that may not have experienced the way you did, but what you may say, hey, you know what, it's normal.
Yeah. Well, when I got here, I guess I didn't see it. I kind of pictured it as sunshine and rainbows, like it was going to be this easy thing. I was going to fit right in. And when I got here, I kind of realized how hard it really is to leave home and a new school, don't know anyone, new team, 5 days a week. I just don't think I was ready for it. And I went back home and I kind of realized that's my opportunity that I have to go grab. And obviously this time coming in, I knew what it was. It wasn't I knew it was going to be hard, but I kind of just needed to get past that with myself and realize that this is what I need no matter how hard it is.
Now, how many times do you talk to your family? Once a week, twice a day? I don't know. What?
I'd say once every few days.
Yeah.
I get, because it's hard with the hockey schedule, but
yeah, right.
I find time as much as possible. I'd say I talk to my parents once every few days.
Well, good. That's good. I know it's you got a brotherhood now at the house. I know that, but it's tough, man. I'm going to have Anthony share a story when he first, but this is years ago for him. But and what people don't understand, Toby had to bust his rear end when he came back because he missed 2 weeks or 3 weeks of school.
About 2.5 weeks of school.
And so he had to make up all that work. And for the first 2 days back at school, he wasn't with the team. He was there getting his schoolwork in order and getting back up there. And I tip my hat to you because that's a hell of a commitment. That's easy to say, but it's a lot of commitment. It shows what kind of person you really are.
Yeah.
So, and what you folks don't know is this young man wants to be a broadcaster. So good for you. I'm going to try to get him hooked up here at the radio station, tvosj.org. I'd like to give him a little plug. But Governor Don, who runs the store, and Betty, who's on the board tonight, we're getting him indoctrinated and get him some knowledge about live broadcasting. And I know you're doing it at school as well with Rams TV. Yeah. So that's all good. Now, Mr. Alvarado. Mr. Cool Breeze. Yeah. Anyhow, so remember the time that you went to Tahoe to go to a camp up there?
Yep.
That was, and you were probably 12?
11 maybe.
11, 12. You know, you've gone on tournaments with other families like the Petronis have taken you because we couldn't go and blah, blah, blah. But now you were up there and you signed up for 3 weeks or 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And so you had anxiety separation.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it being, I was just so young, and I just wanted to go home. Like, I didn't feel like I was like a part of everything because I was the youngest kid there. So like I just missed home. It was the first time I was away from everyone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
then you had a visit the first weekend. Tell
yeah,
us
I remember my mom, she came up the first week and she was like kind of iffy if she wanted me to come home or not. And then I finally just decided to stay, and I mean it was hard watching her leave even though I was going to see her in 6 days.
And now you want to stay up there.
Now, I mean, now it's not a problem. I mean, I'm sure it's not as difficult as, moving across the entire country, but I mean, it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, going to Lake Tahoe now and, going up there for a week, but I remember it being difficult when I was young.
Okay, so I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to start with you again. Talk to us about where you feel the team is at this point in time, and then what you guys are looking forward to for this weekend.
I definitely feel at this point last year we weren't nearly as, I'd say, like connected with each other as we were last year. I mean, we're a lot more like a brotherhood now than we were even at the end of last year. Our practices are better, they're a lot faster. The concept coach is teaching us, we're getting it a lot faster than we were last year, mainly because most of the returning players are, kind of giving the new guys like inside what, coach likes and what he doesn't like the water bottles and stuff like that.
Talk about that, how you guys have different things that each young man will take part in during the season. You're assigned 2 players at a time, and then what are their duties?
So every 2 weeks, the stick bag and the locker, like people who clean the locker and people who get the stick bag, they all change. So, I mean, everyone has to, do something besides just,
Play hockey
yeah.
all years.
We all, I had to clean the locker room 2 weeks ago. Luca has a stick bag for Anaheim and Minnesota. And so, we all have our things to do, and they all switch. But, I mean, if you're talking about, on the ice, each player has their own role. I mean, we're kind of settling into our own roles right now. So, I mean, it's getting good. It's getting better.
I think, like you said, you're right, and the team is much faster than it was last year. We have good goaltending. Toby brings a lot better than we had. Sean's doing a very good job. That's not to disrespect him, but you've played different type of hockey, and but Sean's there too, and so is Boris. They all take part in the game, but we appreciate you coming back and dedicating yourself back to this team. So that's a big plus. Now, Luca, talk to me about last year. We had a different captain, and you were asked to be the captain. I know you have 2 assistants, and you can talk about them, and then tell me about how that makes, number one, how it makes you feel, and then number 2, what kind of responsibility comes along with that?
I think last year Ethan had a little bit harder just based on some of the players we had.
And it was a new year.
Yeah, it was the first year and everything. So this year I can definitely tell some of it, what Ethan had to go through with some of the players, and it's kind of I'm realizing what I need to do differently.
Mm-hmm.
I have good assistants like Anthony and Jack. They're doing their job.
It's hard because I got to tell you, I was in management for years, and your mother's a teacher. Everybody's different. That's the key. You can be one way to 90% of the kids, and they'll get it. But those other 10%, you got to figure out what motivates them and what they're going to do. And we were talking about that, about somebody that we're not going to get into on the game on the show, but how you motivate them or make them understand this is serious business we're here. I mean, yeah, you're teenagers, and yes, it's high school hockey, but I was talking to Tori's mom, Risa, yesterday. We were watching practice, or what was of it, but she said it right. It really hit home, because here's a person that knows Coach Eisler. Her son's coming to the program next year. And she says, you're not creating hockey players here. You're creating habits and making you guys accountable young men to go all this stuff that you're learning here goes to your personal lives. And all the stuff he's making you do, although sometimes you don't get it, he's trying to build you as future good, productive people in society. And I think we overlook that. I mean, I get it because I've been around him long enough, and I know his Anthony and I've had a conversation, and he doesn't understand, or he understands, but it's like, why? Because he expects more out of you. He expects more out of certain people because he knows they have it. If he doesn't think that, then he's going to take a different approach to get that person there. But Wendy, you've been around Coach for a number of years as well, and the program is successful because of him and Zach. But talk to us a little about your doings with Coach.
My first experience with Coach was when Luca was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. And first of all, we walk in the rink, and I have his water bottle. And I don't know where to put the water because I don't see any water anywhere else. And so then I find out there's not really a water break because water is overrated. You hydrate before, which makes total sense. You hydrate before, and that way during a practice you don't have to take the time to drink a bunch of water, and you don't have your water breaks. And it's fine. Your body adjusts to that. And then there was another time the same year Coach said something to Luca, and Luca didn't make eye contact with Coach.
Oh, I remember.
So Coach, got his stick and kind of gives Luca a little bump, and Luca falls to the ice. And Luca learned from then on that you make eye contact when someone is speaking to you.
Yeah.
So it's those little things that help to form these young men.
Mm-hmm.
With Luca being captain, Coach, trusting him to organize practices,
Mm-hmm.
to send the reminders out to the players. I see him on his, I'm griping at him because he's on his phone, but he's like, no, Mom, I got to send a message to the team. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. He takes his role serious,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm glad Coach saw that in him. He had a tough year last year adjusting to the
Mm-hmm.
schedule, and we got through that. But Coach saw that he had this in him to be the leader. The other part is Coach takes these boys and talks to them and sits down and says, what are your plans?
Right.
Let's find out, what do you want to do beyond high school? So St. Mary's is your development. You're going to develop as a player, as a young man, with your studies. You're going to graduate from St. Mary's, and then what? What's your plan? And Coach has Luca's supposed to research some junior teams,
Mm-hmm.
research some colleges, kind of fit all this together. Last year he was able to, had an invite to a pre-draft from a team in Wisconsin, so he was able to go to the junior tryout, which was a great experience. He was too young, he couldn't be drafted, but Coach opened up all of those experiences and windows for him that we could never provide.
Right.
So people say, why do you do all of this? Why do you put all this money and time? We drive 50 minutes to school, and then I go to work. Then one of us drives 50 minutes to pick him up and 50 minutes back to Oakdale. So we are on the road a lot for him,
Mm-hmm.
and it costs a lot, and it's because, first, we trust Coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that gave us the invite.
Mm-hmm.
We trust him completely in Luca's development, and from where he started to where he is now is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we do trust him with his future. What is he going to do in the future? So that's important. So for us to put all the time and money and everything into this program, it's because, number one, for Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we're happy to be at St. Mary's, us being Catholic and coming from St. Mary's in Oakdale, it was important for us to stay in that
realm.
part
religion,
too.
Yeah.
And then the academics for what St. Mary's is known for.
Right.
So
And I
that's-
think that's a big plus. We've talked about that from show to show, but that's what I'm going to ask you, Toby, because these kids have been through it, or young man. I keep calling you kids because I'm 100 years old. But how is the way the curriculum works at St. Mary's versus your last school you went to?
Well, I mean, it's completely different because I was at public school before,
Right.
and now I'm at a Catholic school, and it's different. I don't know how to describe it.
Now,
Like-
as far as classes, did you go to like 6 or 7 classes the same every day? First period
Well,
was such, and
Well, like here, it's you meet each class 50 to 55 minutes 4 times a week, whereas before you'd have every class every day,
Every
but
day,
it's
yeah.
40-minute periods. So
Right.
like we'd have 8 periods a day,
Right.
40-minute periods. At St. Mary's we have 5 or 6 depending on the day,
right.
but longer periods, and you only meet each class 4 times a week, which is it's different. It was adjustment at first.
Oh, absolutely. And I know Anthony went through it, and Luca did last year too, where this kid is much better than he was last year as far as getting his schoolwork done. I think when you come from a traditional, that's what I'm going to call what you came from, and that's where he came from, and probably Luca too. You get your homework on Monday, but you don't have to have it until Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
So you think, I got a whole day, I
Yeah.
can slide by. But then Tuesday you got homework for Thursday, and now you got 2 sets of homework that you haven't got done yet.
Yeah.
And then here you are. So you got to figure that time management part out. And I think
Yeah.
Anthony has done a much better job this year doing that, and I know Luca has as well. So that's the biggest key and it's hard, man, because guess what? What's the word you got to have to do this? It's called discipline. And it's tough, man. You got a lot of distractions. You got the phones, you got computers, you got girls, you got,
No.
well, Luca's got 2. He didn't tell you? Luca, you didn't tell her about your 2 girlfriends? Anyhow, we'll talk after the air on
I
that.
didn't know I had 2 girlfriends.
Oh, so I get, who's this Kristen Angelina or Angela? Kristen? Who's that?
True fan.
Who is
Who?
that? I don't know. Kristen Angela or Angela Kristen. I don't know how it could be for.
I'm gonna get in trouble now because it's definitely someone I should know who it is. Let me see it.
It just says Toby.
A lot of question marks. Big fan
Hey,
of yours.
don't be taking my. This is my.
Oh God, it's so I definitely should know who it is, and I'm gonna get in trouble now for not.
Okay, if you're just listening to us, put in who you are to Toby. Now, he's not very smart. I hate to say it. No, but he's a good. We'll help you out. Anyhow, I have a question here from the Eisler family. I would imagine this is Coach's wife because I know Coach is on the ice right now with Colts. It says, and any 3 of you or all 3 of you can answer this. What happened to practice yesterday?
What practice?
Okay, so, yeah.
Alright.
So, it was a morning practice. People were a little late getting into the building, and then 4 people were getting late onto the ice. So we all had to skate, and then me, Luca, and Jack had to skate a little more, and then Luca finally told him the reason why people were late, and then he kicked us off the ice.
And you got to sit and watch a young man who came all the way from Berkeley. He lives above Berkeley somewhere. What's Torrey? You got to watch him practice all day. So
Yeah, it was definitely wasn't the it wasn't the best for especially me, Luca, and Jack. It wasn't the best showing of how we have a hold of the
Leadership.
team. Yeah.
yeah.
So hopefully, we won't let that happen again. But obviously, it was a mistake on all of us. But we have to hold them more accountable.
So I hope that satisfies your questions from the arena. Now, getting back to Kristen.
I do know
Angela.
who that is. Angela's not her last name. That's what confused me. That's
What
a
is
middle
she-
name or something. I don't know, but that's what confused me. I know. Hi, Miss Mazer.
And so then your mother chimes in and says, "Oh, Toby, you're so in trouble. in so much trouble.
I don't know. I don't know Kristen Angela. That's not my
Toby has a
fault.
lot of fans.
Yeah.
Yes, well, yeah.
I get lost in them.
It says, what was the reason you were all late? That's coming again from the Eisler family.
The heaters.
Want me to get this one?
There is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Luke is passionate about this one.
It got me annoyed. So our locker room is kind of outside the rink, like in the main rink. So it's really cold in the mornings, and a lot of our players.
We just got these new heaters.
Yeah.
We got these new heaters, and
Go ahead.
I think a lot of players were just whining about hogging the heaters. So some players went in the visitor locker room and turned the heater on in there, and they were just been in there the whole time until like 10 minutes till practice started, and then they just come out and get dressed and be late because they didn't have enough time to get dressed after.
You know what? Buck up, boys. You play on the ice. What are you talking about? It's cold.
It's cold.
I'm in a T-shirt and shorts in that rink.
I mean, especially.
And I'm not skating
But
around.
especially our gear doesn't dry. It's just a lot of. Yeah.
It's pretty cold in the
It's
mornings.
pretty cold.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
you-
obviously there's no excuse to be late because you have a half an hour to get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Even-
and it's
Yeah, well,
it happened.
nobody go. You keep everybody in the main. I'm going to give you a hint. Keep everybody in the main locker room. Nobody goes in the other two locker rooms, and you watch everybody, and you to get them when you.
Yeah, I mean
when-
today I screamed at him even though he was getting dressed. I was still screaming at him to get dressed.
Yeah, I was putting on my knee guards as he was telling me to get dressed. It was really annoying me.
yeah,
And,
but you were the last guy out there, right?
I don't think. No, I wasn't the last. I was one of the last. I was on time though.
And so I'm liking it. We're getting people.
Yeah, we have like 12 viewers right now.
It's 'cause of
we
me.
got more than 12. Anyhow,
At least 8 of them. are
it
for me.
says, this is from Sydney Eisler, coach's oldest daughter. How is the team? He's talking to you and you, Luca and Anthony. How I can't even speak. How is the team dynamics, I guess, and are you all getting along well? And being a second year and being a leader.
Well, definitely being the second year, we all have the inside of what happened last year. We all know what happened. We all know what's gonna go on. We all have a outline of what the year is gonna look like. We all know what coach likes and doesn't like. So we all can tell and show the new players how the year's gonna work and what you need to do to be successful in anything you do.
What-
I think definitely, like, as a team, we're a lot closer this year. I know it's kind of like everyone says that, but
Yeah.
I think this year we're definitely a lot closer, and I'd say our mindset as a team is we all have the same goal, which is what we all need. We all need the same goal to make states and all that. And last year, I don't think we had that. I think we're kind of just there to.
See where you ended up,
yeah,
right?
We were
exactly.
it was the first year we kind of were just
And,
like, let's see what
Coach,
happens.
we talked about this last year about you having a shorter bench, and this is last year. This year, the first game that I got to see you was against Bellarmine at home, and I run the box when I'm there. And I looked over my shoulder, and we had a full bench. It's like, who suited these kids up? Where did they come from? Because last year, there might be one or two guys on the bench. So.
And in Tahoe, we had too many players on the bench, so we had to have a player undressed. We had to have one of our goalies undressed.
Yeah, and for you people that don't understand, we have 21 men on this team, young men, and they only can dress 20 per game. That's the most. And unfortunately, you have 3 goaltenders, so only 2 are probably going to play, and so that makes that other guy probably a healthy scratch. So it's going to happen to all 3 of you at some point, I would imagine. So it's not an offense, but don't take offense about it. But it's just part of the game, and if you guys are okay, and then we have a player that's not holding his own weight, he may be the healthy scratch. So those are things, unfortunately, the coach has to do. So that's part of being a hockey player. My wife, Elena Peloascki, said, "I've never seen such a big smile from Toby's face." He does smile. He's look at him. Well, he's getting ready for his broadcasting debut. So
Yeah.
So let me get on that for a little bit. So what made you, out of all the things, make you want to do broadcasting?
Well, I've always been like a sports addict. Like I've always
Cleveland Indians,
been. We won't talk about them right
Buffalo Sabres,
now. Well, okay, we won't. I haven't been gifted.
Buffalo Bills.
I haven't been gifted with the best teams, but
me either, brother. So
but-
I feel your pain.
but I've always loved watching sports,
Uh-huh.
regardless of whether my teams are winning or not, and I've always wanted to be around it. And my mom always, because I always talk her ear off about
Mhm.
what's going on in baseball and
Mhm.
hockey, and she always tells me I should be a broadcaster because all I ever talk about is sports. And then I kind of thought about it, and like that is what I want to do when I'm older. And like at home before I came here, I did a little bit of broadcasting for baseball games
Yeah.
with a company called Icing the Fed back in Buffalo, and I had a lot of fun with it. And when I found out there was a broadcasting course at St. Mary's, I was really excited to do that.
How many? We had, boy, and I lost his name. Mike Bird found this kid last year. He's graduated. He was a senior, and I can't think of his name to save my life.
What are you talking about?
But he did play-by-play at the Oak Park ice rink, and I think we played Tahoe that night. I got to be a color guy, and so was Mike Bird, who works for NBC, and he's the director. So he knows all about the back end of the sports broadcasting. Very knowledgeable man, and I get excited. I'm still a fan at heart,
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be doing play-by-play, and we scored a goal, and usually when you're watching the game, you hear, "Hey, St. Mary scored," and it was like, it probably was 2 seconds, but it seemed like 5 minutes that nobody said, "Hey, we scored,"
Yeah.
and Mike's over there giving me the throat cut, like, that's his job to say that, not yours. And so I learned, so I just didn't say anything the rest of the show. No,
Yeah.
that's not true. They can't shut me up. Oh, look at, your mom came to your protection. Hey, the Bills and Sabres are doing great right now.
Yeah, Bills are 4-1. Sabres are 3-0-1.
We're
so-
talking about the 4 Super Bowls that they went to and didn't win.
Hey, I wasn't even alive for that. So that's
That
all
was
on
pre-Toby.
that's all on
Yeah.
Jim Kelly.
And so this other lady that you finally figured out who it is it your girlfriend or?
No, that's my friend's mom.
Oh,
She we've known her as long as I can remember. I've known
but
her.
you don't know her name, so that's good, Toby.
That's not her last name. That's not my fault.
You know her last name?
I know her last name. Angela's not it. That's what confused me.
Oh, she's just spying on you on
Yeah,
another name.
exactly.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to go in this weekend to play the 3 teams that we talked about earlier. Give us your take, you 3 here. You've been with the team, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Probably I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to because that's the kind of guy I am. What do you think out of 3 games? What do you think? Is it going to be 2-1 or 3-0?
3-0.
And beat. Well,
I mean,
listen,
I don't want to jinx us or, any of that. But I mean, we definitely know what we have to do to be successful. So we're gonna try and do our best to do it.
You got to put pucks at the net. That's the main thing,
I mean,
right?
we're gonna use our number one asset is our speed. So we're just gonna have to play fast and play north south and try and put pucks in the back of the net. Hopefully he stops them.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be a tough weekend. I think 3-0 is going to be really difficult, but I also don't think it's
Out of reach.
out of reach.
Yeah.
I think if we all put our minds to it, and if we look at every game as an individual game and not the whole weekend,
Right. One game at a time,
I
one
think-
shift at a time.
I think 3-0 is obviously a high goal, but I
Yeah.
also don't think it's out of reach. I think if we work hard, if we play the way that we know we can, I don't think we're playing a team this weekend that's better than us.
I think, and I didn't get to see. I saw your Tahoe game here. I did not get to see it up in Tahoe, but the reports I got, it was you guys kind of came out flat in the first period, and then you picked it up, and
We definitely still had the night before's game in mind. I don't think we let it go. We had quite a celebration after we won.
Yeah.
And we kind of just didn't let it go. We kind of thought it was going to be a cakewalk because we beat them.
it's easy for me to say that, and you guys know this. Each game's on its own. You might blow a team out one night, and the next night you get blown out. If you're not, you got to and we talked about this, and Luca, you can chime in here. And I tell Anthony, because he's been on teams other than St. Mary's that got blown out. I mean, they weren't in the, and you could tell from the beginning of the game and what he was skating, the way he was skating at the end. And I'd tell him, don't look at the scoreboard. I know that's easy for me to say, but if you guys go out there and say forget about the other shifts, they're gone. You can't get those back. You gotta go out and play your game that you know how to play as hard as you can every shift, and win that shift. Get a goal, make a good save, make a block, whatever it might be, or get a shot on the net. That's a win, right? And so when you come off, then you got to build on that and move. And if you guys keep that in mind, I've talked to you guys in the penalty box. I don't know how many of you, a lot, but this year not so much. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think I've been in the box more than he has.
Yeah, there's
You're
no,
a goon, so.
I've never seen him call a penalty that you agreed with. Like, yeah, he's right. Never. Not once have you come in there thinking that. I don't know why. He's got his gloves upside down. He's, Rick, I didn't do anything. Well, apparently you did because you're in here with me. So, but that's okay. I get it. But what I'm saying to you, the only way you can make that work is the next shift you go out there, you got to stick one in the back of the net or make a great play, and now, you're back in it. It's tough. And with the new, that's another thing we can talk about. Let me ask you guys, it doesn't pertain to you that much because we call it finish the check. That is no longer, and both of you can respond. But what do you think about I think the rule is good, but explain the rule to people that have watched us last year and may not understand it, because you guys did in one game and a few guys entered the box. But go ahead.
The new rule is you have to always
Stick on puck.
Yeah, always invest in the puck first. You can't just they're trying to take away the big open ice highlight reel hit, and that'll get the the bench up, and they're trying to eliminate all that. So they're kind of trying to make it a more clean game. And I mean that I got a penalty for that the first game, because I came in and instead of putting my stick on puck, I came in, I kind of just took his body away. I mean, it didn't seem like it wasn't a big hit.
Yeah.
I kind of just bumped him, but apparently I didn't
engage the puck.
I didn't engage the puck. So
or you didn't attempt to engage the puck.
So I got the penalty first.
But I think for health wise I'm when I first started watching hockey, they didn't wear helmets, they didn't have goalie face masks. I mean, that's a long time ago, and the game's evolved much faster. We talked about sticks a little bit today in your meeting before you guys left the rink today. The difference in sticks, the speed of the puck. The game's much faster than when I saw it originally. And we're talking about goons. The goon is going to go away. By the time you guys make it, if you do make it, or even in the juniors, the goons are going to be gone, pretty much.
I think it's already gone.
Well, most of they still got Reeves for Las Vegas.
No, he's still playing.
Hey, I mean, it's not necessarily like a goon, like a fighter.
Right.
It's more just
An
I'd
enforcer?
say just a gritty player.
Yeah.
A guy that makes his presence known by being
Milan Lucic.
by just being a physical presence.
And so I know there's a lot of people out there that listen, and that's what brings you to hockey originally, is to watch the hits and watch the fights. I used to go to Heat games along with Anthony for years, and the Thunder, and that was the big thing. Watch Garrett Hunt smoke somebody. They were going to fight, and he was 4'10". No, he was about 5'3" or 4", but he took on guys 6'3". Didn't matter, and he was there to protect his teammates. So that being said, the reason the goon, which is a tough word, but an enforcer, those kind of guys, the Marty McSorleys of years ago, he was Gretzky's protector. It takes the cheap shot away, because now, if Luca's the best player on your team, I can take him out and take it, because I'm not a very good player. I can skate and I can score once in a while if I'm lucky, but I'm a tough guy. So if I go out there and attempt to hammer this kid, I go in the box for 5 minutes and I'm coming back out, right? Team doesn't need me on the ice because they're better without me. but there's nobody going to come after me when I go back on the ice. Like you smoked Luca, and we're going to protect him. And so they're trying to get that part out, but you almost have to have a little bit of it, in my opinion, in the game, because otherwise, other teams, if you only have one good player, or they're gonna try to take that player out of the game, not necessarily injure him for his career or any of that stuff, but smoke him long enough that he's either hurting too bad, he's bruised up, he can't come back, take him away from your offensive side. So I don't know. I think a little bit of it's okay, but there's some guys that just went out there for no other reason than just that they were going to fight somebody. And it does change momentum of the game because the team gets fired up if somebody's out protecting their team. So
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I
the
mean,
other rule,
yeah.
too.
Even in our game, like even in our, I think we had 2 back-to-back games where we had skirmishes in the corners and stuff. And I mean, it's not necessarily out of the game. I mean, obviously we are competitive, so I mean, I wouldn't want someone to touch my goalie the wrong way or hit him the wrong way. We're gonna stand up for each other. It's just not we're gonna go out and try and kill you. We're just gonna try and
get you off and tell them, hey,
send a message that don't do that.
Yeah, right. And everybody does it to see how you're going to respond. If you don't respond at all, then they're going to say, hey, we can smack this goaltender around all day because nobody's going to come into defense. And I know you like to push and shove. You got to be the first one to push because if you're always the last one and you get caught. Anyhow, I got a question. Sydney Eisler. Mrs. Petroni, how is it for you watching this team versus last year's team? And it's a 2-part question. How has it been watching Luca become a leader? So those are 2 questions.
Okay, I think watching this year's team compared to last year, first numbers, because now the kids can actually sit and have a break, and then when they go out and hit the ice, they can go 110%, knowing that when they come back off the ice for a shift change, they've got a little bit of rest time. And also watching the defense. I think all of our defensive lines seem to be nice and strong. So that's a difference. Last year they did well, but this year I think the defense is just a little faster in getting themselves down the ice and getting the puck down the ice. Watching Luca become a leader has been, first, I think part of it is that I know he, as growing up, he could do certain things, but Luca tends to be super impulsive. So
That means you snap quickly. Go ahead.
that's why you spend a lot of time in the penalty box.
Yeah.
So watching him now control that part of himself to where he keeps his composure under the stress of the game, or at least he has so far, and the stress of practice. Like when the team was in trouble the other day, Luca took it to heart. Like he said, this is what happened, and here's how we need to correct it. And so watching those things, it makes us proud that he's able to do that.
Right.
And I do expect a lot in the future with that from him. Now that Coach sees that in him, I hope he continues to do that and make good choices.
It's a good growing thing for everybody. And just because you're the captain or the assistant captain or whatever, it all doesn't fall on you guys. Yes, to a certain extent, yes, because you got to be the end all at whatever it is. You got to be the one to end it. However, guys like Toby, and we can go right down the line of the roster, those guys need to step in and help out and say, hey, man, you're out of line. This is what we're about. This is our team, man. You know, if you're not part of the team, then you need to step away. It's very simple. And that's how life is. Either you're in or you're out. And there's no in between. You can't straddle the line. Well, sometimes I'm with you and sometimes that's not makes a team. And I think, like you guys have said earlier, that it's the team is bonded better than last year. We do miss Alex Gano, no question, because he was providing 90% of our offense, I would say, last year. And now we probably have 60% of the players that can help an offense. Am I close to that, Luke?
And just like you were saying, like right now, like it doesn't just fall on me and him to lead the team. Like Toby's he's gone up. He's
like against Bellarmine and Tahoe in the locker room in the intermission. Toby jumped in and got the team straight because sometimes we lose focus. Like, our players will lose focus,
Yeah.
and it's like, back like in the right mindset. And
Yeah.
Toby jumped in and helped us out.
Yeah, I mean, it happened last Thursday, Friday.
Sometime during
Yeah,
practice
last
week.
Thursday. I mean, him and Sar, they didn't like how we finished practice. I guess we could say we finished it kind of lazy, and as soon as we got into the locker room, they both just they got up and said something, which is, it's helpful for us because me and Luca and Jack, we all have to worry about ourselves and get everyone else in line. So it's good that we have other people who
Yeah, there's a
are
lot.
highly competitive.
Even in the NHL, there's obviously cabinet, assistant cabinet. And the reason for that at that level is more or less those are the guys that have to talk to the referee or go over to the referee's crease if there's a penalty, and they discuss whatever the options are, whatever they're doing, and they relay it back to the bench, to the coach, right? At this level, it's same thing. However, there's a lot more to it. They're adults that they're dealing with, allegedly, in most cases. But
Maybe.
it's tough because they're your peers. They go to school with you. But they have to, the word respect comes to mind. They have to respect your position on the team, and you're not doing it to pick on them. Just do the right things, man. Help us out. We don't want to be a policeman in here and tell, hey, you're the stick bag guy. How come you didn't put the sticks away? Be grown up. It just goes back to the basics. Go home, pick your clothes up, wash your, brush your teeth every day, wash the sink out every day. Put your stuff away every day.
You're terrible at that.
That type of stuff. So once you get that embedded in you that you have to do those things, then life becomes much simpler because you use those traits when you go out in life, right? You're not your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. If you're living with one, a partner, that you're not walking around with you throw your underwear on the ground or your shirt over here or your jacket over there, or your shoes, whatever. This forms you into a successful person because I got to say, and I think Wendy Petroni will back me on this, most of the kids at your age level and below, and even some in their 30s, were, I don't know how to say it, they're entitled. They think it should just happen because. And we had a little conversation about that earlier. Throw in your input on that.
I think what people don't understand about these boys, since a lot of them have left their families, their day starts from 5:45 or 7 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. Then you come home and you shower and you eat and you get your homework done. That's a commitment. So they are developing that they've committed to something. They have a goal in life. They're 15, 14 years old and they've got a goal. So now they're learning that. Then they're learning how to get along with people. They don't have the parents behind them saying, oh, let me do that for you, let me do that for you. If they have a problem, they have to do it. If they have a problem with a teacher, go talk to your teacher, email your teacher. If they have a problem with coach, we're not going to step in. We're not going to talk about playing time. We don't talk to coach about any of that stuff. That is up to them. So they're learning those skills to communicate with different types of people. And as leaders, they're learning how to talk to people that have different situations,
Right.
and what type of person is this, so that we can communicate with that person. So they're learning so much more and
Life
have more
lessons.
life lessons
Yeah.
that, yes, we're playing hockey, we're getting a good education, but we are developing these young men into becoming adults that can take care of themselves.
Right.
So that when they're in their 20s, they're not having to have mom and dad
Yeah.
take care of everything. They are learning this now rather than in their 20s.
Right, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, I know one of the ages for sports. He's a friend of Chase Chevrolet and John Ferriolo. I'm not going to give his name out because you probably wouldn't want me to, but he signed many of football players. That was his forte. And there was a gentleman, or again, I'm not going to give you names, but he calls this guy at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, the guy's on a pro and an NFL team. He's on an NFL team, probably 23, 24 years old. And he calls him and says, "Hey, I got a flat tire. What do I do?" What? This guy's making millions of dollars, and he doesn't know life experiences, man. He doesn't know how to change a tire. It's like, or even if he didn't want to change the tire, he doesn't know what to do to get it changed. I mean,
Or who to call to get
Yeah,
yourself help, to
right.
problem solve. So,
So-
we have to raise them to be able to problem solve on their own.
right.
That's
And-
important.
And we talked about that earlier. Life is simple, man. Life is the most simplest thing in the world. Do everything the way you're supposed to do it. Doesn't always work out that way, but if you do that, life's so much easier on you. You don't have to cover up. I better not tell them that. I better tell them this, or I've done all that. Trust me. And the best now, and my wife will tell you, I'm too truthful. Sometimes I shouldn't say anything.
That comes with age.
But then I don't have to worry about what I told him or your mom. I don't have to tell them that because, and people don't agree with me everything I say. That's for sure. Ask my wife; she don't agree with anything I say. But as long as you're confident about what you're doing and you feel that you're making the right, you're not emotional about it, and you're making a good due diligence call, then go with it, man. It'll help you in life, man. You don't have to, I'm going to tell my mom we're going to the movies, but I'm going to this party instead. And we did all that. I'll tell you a quick story, and then we're going to probably close this up. But there's a group of us about like you guys, 3 or 4. We all live within a few houses of each other. Yes. So this dad would let us borrow the car. It was like a 56 Chevy. That's how old I am. But anyhow. And we tell them, hey, we're going to go watch this movie. Okay. Well, we don't go watch the movie. We mess around. I don't even know what we did, but probably I can't say it on the radio anyhow. But so we end up going back to his house, and we all went home for that night. That was a Friday night. And Saturday, I go over there, and I can't even think of his dad's name. I can't even think of his name right now because I'm getting old. But his dad says, so, hey, Rick, how was that movie? And I go, oh, it was fantastic. He goes, really? He said, when did you have time to watch it? I said, what do you mean? He says, you guys put 70 miles on my car. What? Well, he caught us, right? Because he marked down the mileage on his car. However, that was a mistake he made because we were smarter than him, right? So whatever, we were grounded. We didn't couldn't drive the car for a month or whatever it was. So then the next time, you can't do this anymore, so don't listen to me. So wherever we told we were going, we drove there. And in those days, and you're too young to remember this, but your dad could
But I
tell you.
know, yeah.
So you opened the hood up, and on the firewall, there was a cable that ran the odometer. That's the thing keeps mileage. Well, you could unscrew it. So we'd drive there, unscrew it, and we went and did our thing. We go back to that's the very spot, screw it back in, and drive home. And that was the end of it. But it's not the right thing to do. It really isn't the right thing to do. But for every rule, there's a way to break it. You just got to make sure that you're not breaking the wrong rules. Are we close, Betty?
It's getting close.
Okay. So we're going to go around the table again, get some final comments. I want to thank a few people that chimed in during our broadcast, talk about our next broadcast, and good luck to you guys this weekend. Wendy, final thoughts?
We're just looking forward to a great season. I'm excited to be with the boys as their travel tutor. Our plan is every time we get to the hotel, we'll get a room, maybe the banquet room or a breakfast room, 2 hours of work. Get your stuff out.
So let me ask you,
Yeah.
how much money will you take to do my homework? No.
I don't do homework.
Yeah, okay. Luca, you're...
It's going to be a good season, good weekend this upcoming games. We play the last year's national champions tomorrow night, so that should be exciting, and I look forward to it.
Go ahead.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to a good season, but for now, just focusing on tomorrow's game, and then after that, the next game on Saturday, and then after that, the game after. Just trying to take it one game at a time until eventually things will start unfolding. And
how do you get... I'm dragging this out a little bit, Betty. Bear with me a second. They score a goal on you. How do you just go, okay, I know you're mad because you don't want them behind you.
Yeah.
I get it. But how do you get through that real quick?
it's kind of something that it took me a little while to get used to. At first, I would hang on it a little bit, but eventually I kind of just figured, the game's designed for goals to be scored.
Right.
So obviously, I'm not going to get a shutout every game.
Yeah, right.
It's meant to score. So I just kind of got used to, all right, that's supposed to happen. My goal is next shot, make sure what's supposed to happen doesn't, and it ends up in my glove or my blocker or whatever.
Yeah.
I just try to pretend that nothing's happened and it's still 0-0 or whatever
Yeah.
the score was
Right.
before the goal.
Right.
And I just kind of move past it, and then after the game, I'll reflect on what I did wrong and
What you
and what
could've
I
done
what I could have done. But
Yeah.
I kind of only focus on the positives during the game,
Mhm.
and then after the game, I focus on, all right, this is what I did wrong.
Yeah.
I can do this better next time.
Thanks, Toby, for your comments. You've been a pleasure on here. Anthony, last comments?
Just excited for the season and, taking one game at a time and live in the moment. Not get too far ahead of myself.
Sydney Eisler wanted me to tell all of you guys best of luck to you all this weekend. Shoot for 3-0, and remember, if the coach is mad, buy him food. Anyhow,
That should
with
work.
that, we're going to round this up. You're invited back on the 24th. That's 2 weeks from today.
All right.
Toby will be sitting in, and I'm on assignment that week. I will not be here. You guys are all clapping, I know. But Roy Morales will be sitting in this chair conducting business. So, well, I want to thank everybody that viewed in and participated in this tonight. And we'll see you on the 24th. Please look into that show because I want Roy to feel like he's really done something. So we appreciate everything he does. So that being said, my final sign off. You want to do it, Ant? Or you want me to do it? All right. Keep your skates on the ice and reach for the stars. Good night, everybody.